In the previous video, we saw how to create and manage forms. This is the continuation of the previous video. In this video, we'll send emails with Django and render forms in templates. So, let's see how to send emails with Django. Sending emails with Django is pretty straightforward. First, you need to have a local SMTP server or define the configuration of an external SMTP server by adding the settings shown in the settings.py file of your project. Email_host, the SMTP server host, default localhost. Email port, the SMTP port, default 25. Email host user, username for the SMTP server. Email host password, password for the SMTP server. Email use TLS, whether to use a secure TLS connection. Email use SSL, whether to use an implicit TLS secure connection. If you don't have a local SMTP server, you can probably use the SMTP server of your email provider. The sample configuration is valid for sending emails via Gmail servers using a Google account as shown. Open the terminal and run the command python manage.py shell to open the Python shell and send an email with the help of this command. Send_email takes the subject, message, sender and list of recipients as required arguments. By setting the optional argument fail_silently equals false, we are telling it to raise an exception if the email couldn't be sent correctly. If the output you see is 1, then your email was successfully sent. If you are sending emails by Gmail with this configuration, you might have to enable access for less secured apps at this link. Now we're going to add this to our view. Edit the post_share view in the views.py file of your blog application and add this code to it. Note that we declare a sent variable and set it to true when the post was sent. We're going to use that variable later in the template to display a success message when the form is successfully submitted. Since we have to include a link to the post in the email, we retrieve the absolute path of the post using its getAbsoluteURL method. We use this path as input for request.build_absolute_URI to build a complete URL, including HTTP schema and hostname. We build the subject and the message body of the email using the clean data of the validated form. And finally, send the email to the email address contained in the to field of the form. Now that your view is complete, remember to add a new URL pattern for it. Open the urls.py file of your blog application and add the post_share URL pattern with the help of this code. Now save it. Now let's render forms in templates. After creating the form, programming the view and adding the URL pattern, we are only missing the template for this view. Create a new file into the blog/templates/blog/post directory and name it share.html. Add these lines of code to it. This is the template to display the form or a success message when it's sent. As you can see, we create the HTML form element indicating that it has to be submitted by the post method. Then we include the actual form instance. We tell Django to render its field in HTML paragraph p elements with the as_p method. We can also render the form as an unordered list with as_ul or as an HTML table with as_table. If we want to render each field, we can also iterate through the fields as shown here. The CSRF token template tag introduces a hidden field with an auto-generated token to avoid cross-site request forgery (CSRF) attacks. These attacks consist of a malicious website or program performing an unwanted action for a user on your site. You can find more information about this at this link. The shown tag generates a hidden field that looks like this. Edit your detail.html template and add a link to the share post URL after this variable in the code. Remember that we are building the URL dynamically using the URL template tag provided by Django. We're using the namespace called blog and the URL named post share, and we are passing the post ID as a parameter to build the absolute URL. Now, open the shell and start the development server with the command python manage.py run server. As you can see, our server is running. Then open this link in your browser. Click on any post title to view the detail page. Under the post body, you should see the link we just added as shown. Click on Share this post and you should see the page including the form to share post by email. It has to look like this. CSS styles for the form are included in the example code in the static/css/blog.css file. Fill the form as shown. If you input invalid data, you'll see that the form is rendered again, including all validation errors. When you click on the Send Email button, the form is submitted and validated. If all fields contain valid data, you'll get a success message as shown. Awesome! So we've successfully shared the posts by email. In our next video, we'll see how to create a comment system.